WrestleMania week coverage continues. Today, CM Punk is shooting on AEW, talking about WWE stuff, and we got to talk about Triple H announcing on ESPN a major change to the company, plus so much more. You don't want to miss it right here on TAS. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget we got a giveaway at 100,000 subscribers. If you're interested, click subscribe now to qualify. Let's talk about AJ Lee. When asked about this on this amazing interview with, Ariel Helwani, CM Punk was talking about AJ Lee, and the question was brought up about AJ returning. And, obviously this is a question more for AJ Lee and not CM Punk, but CM Punk starts to laugh. He says probably not. And it's actually really interesting because I remember as I'm watching this interview, it's like, in wrestling, Punk is not just going to tell you flat out if she's ever coming back. But for some reason, they seem very persistent in saying that AJ Lee is not returning. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what to expect here. I don't know if we'll ever get her back in the WWE. But it's just, it's shocking, right? Like, she did her thing with Women's of Wrestling. There was rumors that maybe she'd go to AEW. And then there was rumors that she'd come to WWE. And it didn't happen. And obviously for AJ Lee, her story is a little bit different from CM Punk, and obviously in regards to why they left WWE. But with AJ Lee, I feel like if she wanted to, man, she'd be really good in modern day WWE. And I have to wonder why she's not back, And obviously CM Punk and AJ Lee are relatively private people. Yes, they're out and about with sporting functions or something like that. And then obviously CM Punk does CFFC, and then he does WWE, obviously. But for the most part, they're pretty private. So I'm curious if maybe AJ Lee not coming back just has a lot more to do with the fact that she could kind of lay low and do her own thing. And I don't know. It's a very interesting situation. I will say that. I also kind of want to point out, too, with AJ Lee, and like where she would fit in the WWE. I would love to watch her full time in WWE, but I do think AJ Lee has kind of reached that status where I would say legendary status in a way. It's a very bold statement, but I think I could see AJ Lee being a special act, a couple short-term programs here and there, kind of like how Beth Phoenix or Trish Stratus or Lita have been used in recent years. So who knows? I do want to see her back in some capacity one day, but you just simply never know in the wrestling industry. I want to turn our attention to the interview with CM Punk and Ariel Helwani because there was a lot of goodies in here. And I talk a little bit more about this in depth in regards to CM Punk exposing AEW. There is a video on the More Ango video channel. You guys could watch that. I break down quite a few things in there. But in this video, I want you guys to understand something. CM Punk is finally being able to talk about his drama in AEW. Regarding Jack Perry, he exposes the situation because there is no NDA involved. When asked about AEW Brawl Out, well, there is an NDA attached to that, and he says that Tony Khan was the one who essentially facilitated that. Tony Khan has yet to respond to any of the things mentioned in the interview. CM Punk made it very clear in the interview that he does not view Tony Khan as a boss. He does view him as a nice person, but not as a boss. A lot of his issues that he had in AEW really stemmed from people just going into business for themselves or for management. Management just kind of not really caring about getting things done. And then he also talks about WWE, and I think this is also very interesting because he's asked about the Vince McMahon allegations, and I thought his response was actually really, really, really good. CM Punk and Vince McMahon never really saw eye to eye, and he kind of brings that up too with Vince trying to be a fatherly figure for certain people, and CM Punk didn't need that from Vince. And then when he's hearing about these allegations and stuff, it just obviously he's very disappointed and disgusted by them. And I think we all are, right? You read these allegations and you see some of the stuff that's been leaked and whatever, and it's just not, it's disgusting on so many levels. And you would like to think that it's not real, but unfortunately in this world, there's a lot of negative bullshit out there. There's a lot of evil out there. So Punk really, in this interview, I felt like he handled himself really well regarding Vince McMahon and the allegations. And I thought his last interaction with Vince was actually pretty stellar because it's Nick Khan who brought CM Punk back, and him and Triple H really fixed their patches, and they obviously got things back on track. But he tells a story about Vince McMahon, and it's just like when you hear the way he speaks about WWE and Vince McMahon, it's interesting because this new regime with Endeavor and Nick Khan and Triple H, like, he seems pretty happy, right? And I think if Vince McMahon would have been there and full time, just been wheeling and dealing and constantly being involved, like, I think CM Punk would have hated WWE. CM Punk is clearly a guy that needs to be in a company with structure, and AEW didn't provide that for him. WWE now does. People are really offended by that, but he's telling his side of the story. And as I say in my other video that's going up, that's more extended, I think, there's two sides to every story. The truth is somewhere in the middle. I've been saying that for a while. But the CM Punk drama in AEW, I don't really care if you love AEW and you're a diehard AEW fan. I think you need to understand that the truth is in the middle and nobody is in the right. Everybody's in the wrong. Everybody is in the wrong. And that's just as simple as it is. Now let's talk about another interview that a lot of people aren't talking about today. And I don't know, this might bother you. Maybe you like it. I don't know. In a new interview with ESPN, Triple H discussed a shift in direction for WWE programming. He also goes on to admit that audibles are a weekly thing in WWE as they gauge the fan reaction to different storylines. Now, obviously, WWE has been doing a lot more long-term storytelling. Some people find it predictable. Some people don't care that it's predictable. But some people are enjoying the fact that every week there's layers and layers to a story, and then eventually you get your payoff. And that's why I'm not sure how I feel about last-second audibles becoming a weekly thing. Listening to crowd reaction is great, and obviously you want to be in tune with your audience and what they're looking for and what you want. That is obviously the way to grow, and that's the reason why WWE continues to grow. But, changing outcomes or changing storylines and stuff immediately after a fan's reaction, I think sometimes you got to let things breathe. I think wrestling fans are just simply a little too impatient, and I know that is... maybe that's going to give me heat, but I do think wrestling fans are impatient. I do believe that. And I think if you're, 1 week they don't like something, I don't think you should change that. Now, where I do think fan reaction matters, for example, is like somebody like Chad Gable, who is getting great reactions. Call the audible, maybe not immediately, but call the audible and realize that you have to give them a push. That makes a little bit more sense. Everybody's going to have a different opinion on this, but WWE's calling last-second audibles every single week based on fan reaction. It could get tricky. It could get you into a mess. We'll see how it all unfolds. Ladies and gentlemen, WrestleMania week is here. Live streams every night. Don't miss out.